And we're live. Welcome to Seller Sessions. Today you got me, Sharon Evan, and I have the beautiful Ali and Sumner Hobart here with me. And we're going to be discussing what it's like to run online businesses, including Amazon businesses, as a husband and wife team. It's a tough subject, but we're going to get through it. So welcome to the show, guys. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having us. We're very excited for this.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm super excited because Sumner and I have been talking for ages that we're going to make a video together or do something together. And then it never ended up happening. And I'm just happy that our first collaboration or whatever you want to call it is with both of you together. So
yeah, very exciting. We're finally can make it happen, I guess, with COVID kind of forced us to, do everything online now.
The funny thing is that we're both now in the Middle East because I live in Israel and you guys are currently in Turkey, in Turkey, which we'll talk about later, how you guys ended up there. So for the people who don't know you guys, Sumner, do you want to quickly introduce you guys, what you do, and then we'll get into the subject?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a few different things. So I guess tactically, digital nomads, we have a series of kind of, online businesses that allow us to then kind of travel the world. And that's actually one of our businesses. On the side, we're kind of building up travel content. But we have our Amazon business. That was our first and still kind of our main income source. Also have courses on Udemy and Skillshare. We're uploading and monetizing stock footage, monetizing YouTube videos, affiliate links, freelance work. So kind of the whole 9 yards. But first and foremost, kind of Amazon FBA.
Cool. Awesome. So our main subject today, I just want to say that was a real, you guys do so much. I didn't even know that you guys do that much. That's crazy, but we'll talk about all that later. But our main subject is running a online business as a husband and wife team. And I was sort of preparing and thinking about what I'm going to ask you guys. And I was like, it's a pretty tough subject, right? And I know a lot of husband and wife teams. And it's kind of either make it or you don't, because, and you guys, I follow you both, and you guys always look like the super sweet couple that it always looks perfect, etc. So I'm really waiting to ask you guys these questions because, the way that it looks on social media, etc., you're both not only very talented and very intelligent, but it looks like you've figured it out as in how to make it work together as a team. And I mean, your next challenge is when you have kids, and then we'll see how it goes. But for now, you guys look like you've totally. So first of all, I definitely would like to know how you first got into Amazon, and then because how you got into Amazon, and then how you both decided to do it together, right? Because usually one person gets into it first and then you drag the other in. So what was your story first?
Yeah, so Ali tends to have better memory just in general, and especially with dates and kind of things like that. So I'll kind of let her definitely kind of take the lead on that, because we were talking earlier and I'm like, wait, how did it start? But she has a little bit better memory.
Yes. So I think we got prompted to look for other options for different reasons. And he can tell his side of the story in a little bit, but for him, he was not enjoying his work at all. And there's a whole story about that. For me, I actually did enjoy my work. I started working in architecture. That was my degree, architecture and interior design. But I'm originally from Brazil, and in Brazil we have lots of holidays. There's always downtime in Brazil, and I honestly was getting so overwhelmed with just the routine of things, the day-to-day, feeling like I did not have the freedom for example, we would always try to pack up all of our vacation days so we could see my family in Brazil, and then we would rarely have time for both of us. So that was my original motivation to look for something. And I think Sumner, he'll talk about his part in a minute, but he had mentioned something about, entrepreneurship. It's funny because when we were still dating, you said that you would love to have a store one day. But anyways, we ended up finding about Amazon FBA I think he found it. And I started watching some YouTube videos thinking maybe I'll do this on the side. And as I watched some YouTube videos, I was like, I need to get Sumner on board with this. Like, I need him because he is so talented, anything analytical. And, like, I don't know. But I thought we should do this together. And then I told him about it, and he did a ton of research. Every time he gets into something, he goes like super in depth. So we decided to buy the course, a course that we're not going to mention here because it's not worth mentioning.
I know which course it is, so it's all good.
Yes. Yep.
We watched it together, sort of, and but at the time he quit his job and had his own clients with his marketing firm, and I still have my job. So he got started in the work itself of Amazon first, and later on I quit. But he's going to complete the story because it will make more sense since he.
It definitely. Yeah, of course. I think as typical kind of entrepreneurship, it wasn't just this kind of clean, story and kind of start, and especially in the beginning, growing everything, and even still now, continuing to grow. But yeah, on my end, I mean, backstory, like 4 years of college, I was working really hard on my GPA. I applied to 30 companies, got turned down by 29, was accepted by one. Started working for this company, which in the analytics field, a lot of cool work doing mobile qualitative research for companies like Adidas. And we actually even flew out and worked in Portland in the North American kind of headquarters for a little bit. So it was really cool. But the work environment, and if anyone, I don't know, my friends are watching, like we have good relations now with their past coworkers, but it was just tough. It was a bad fit. I was the youngest trying to figure out how to make it. And I also just I just realized if I put this much effort into this kind of position with my own business, couldn't I do better? And I was like, I believe that I can. So after 6 months of working full-time right after graduation, which is just a whole stressful kind of like, I guess, 4.5 years, left, started doing kind of some social media marketing services for small businesses, mainly around the University of Cincinnati, which is where I went to college, had some connections there. And basically it was just like another kind of 9 to 5, like still reporting to clients and having deadlines and, sending leads into, for example, this apartment complex. Their team wasn't even following up on those leads for like an entire month, and they blame it on me and all this kind of thing. So just kind of like just another version of what I was already in. We're like, okay, we need to find like another way. We're willing to do whatever it takes. Like we'll put in the work, we'll figure out how to bootstrap the capital, all that kind of stuff. And that's when I at least for my memory, Allie sent me an article of, top 7 ways to make money online. And one of them was selling physical products on Amazon, or kind of Amazon FBA. And I don't know why, but for some reason that specifically really stood out to both of us. And we're like, I think we could do this. This sounds great. And of course, in some regards, at the time, in some ways it sounded way better and way easier than maybe we came to find, now or soon found. Yeah. But still, obviously, great opportunity. And that's kind of how we got our start. But really, I mean, we were fed up with the life that we were having at that point with our jobs. You coming back, complaining about your boss and like your boss having not the best day. Like, yes. Same thing with me. And it was just like, I don't know, we got fed up, willing to do whatever it took. And that's kind of how we got started.
Yes. But in terms of the involvement as a team, it was at parts because he got involved more first because he had more freedom because he had his own business and I was still working. Then I quit my job completely and I got 100% involved on that while he still had some clients. Then in end of 2018, he quit and we went fully, both of us, the team, beginning of 2019.
So, Sumner, when Ali came to you and said to you, hey, like read about Amazon FBA, etc. Initially, what was the first thing that went through your head? Was it like scary? Or was it like, oh, this makes so much sense, because I remember when I first came up to it was the opposite. It was my husband came to me actually regarding Amazon, and I was like the online person, and he was the one that was like, hey, what about Amazon? And I remember when we first started like speaking about it, we were supportive, but it was a little bit scary initially, specifically for Amazon. So how, were you always supportive of the idea from the very beginning? You know what I mean? On the same page?
On the same page overall, yes.
Yes.
And that's something we can talk about later too, because that's definitely something very important. for me, I was willing to do whatever. So I was like, and I mean, I read through it and did kind of my due diligence at the beginning, at least to the extent that I could thought that I could. And the idea definitely made sense in my mind. I'm like, okay, finding opportunities of, people are searching for this product type, can't find it, or there's terrible options that exist on the world's largest, e-com platform. And then providing that option, I'm like, oh, well, how would I do that? Using Alibaba, things like that. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Like I can, and so I was on board with that. However, when I basically, the money that I invested I don't know how specific I should get, but basically we set some money aside as we were working, right, obviously toward retirement or 401k, pulled that money out to bootstrap our first product, which was successful and is, and we're still selling with the first product we ever launched. And I forgot what I was going with
we said we probably will never see this money again.
Yeah, we had the mindset that we'll lose it, and we didn't tell any friends or family. That's the part I want to get through. We didn't tell. We were on the same page.
We told my mom. Yes. We told my mom, but that was it. Because my mom was like super supportive. Like,
so we kind of had in the back of our mind, this is a scam. We're gonna get scammed out of our money. But
let's try.
But let's try.
But one thing I would say too, when I came to you with the idea, you remembered a meeting that you had with an angel investor, and that's why what got you excited. Yeah, you can tell about the meeting.
Yeah, and just quickly, and hopefully, trying to share value. I know it'll be different to different people, but two important meetings that I had personally that really kind of helped. I mean, in even a small way, changed my life. One was with an angel investor, and the second was with a guy named Neil Hoffman. We lived not too far away from each other. Neil Hoffman is founder of Mensch on a Bench. Basically according to him, the alpha on the shelf for the Jewish community.
Yeah.
He was on Shark Tank, and that's kind of how some people know about him. We kind of connected, which was great. He was in Cincinnati. I was in Cincinnati, and we met, and he just basically, he sells on Amazon. A large percentage of his sales come from Amazon, obviously, and just kind of talked to me about his life. He's like, yeah, at this point, I'm working about 10 hours a week. I'm pretty bored. I'm trying to find things to do, and I make like X. And he told me, how much he was making and everything. I'm like, dang, like really? And of course, he talked about the effort and the capital and everything to get there. It wasn't just like this overnight thing. But I was like, what's the difference? Yes. Like, why couldn't I achieve that? So that was really eye-opening. And again, physical products business, selling on Amazon. And then number two was having a coffee with an angel investor. And at the time, I was doing social media marketing with kind of these small businesses. And she's like, Sumner, if you want to scale and you want to be, if you want to be a multimillionaire, that was just her words. You need to have, products will sell themselves. With a service, right? If if overnight, for example, any of our digital or physical products blow up, fantastic. There's somewhat of like a logistics issue with physical products, but still much more scalable than if I woke up and all of a sudden I get all these clients. I only have so much time. I need to hire, more staff, and it's just more difficult, obviously, to scale a service-based business versus products-based. And that's obviously very common. I mean, people learn that in business school, but at that time, it really clicked. So
when I brought you the article, that's what you said. I remember that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like dominoes kind of falling and leading up to that point as well. And, hopefully someone kind of found that valuable, because I definitely did.
No, that's cool. That's because I asked the question because I know that there's a lot of people that will have this great idea or will know, about Amazon, and then they'll come to their partner and their partner won't be as supportive.
We know.
Yeah. And then there's also, for me, it's been, I've been sort of introduced to also women specifically who didn't tell their husband that they're doing it, and then doing it behind their husband's back because they didn't think that they'd get support, or the opposite. So I think that, first of all, having that support from one another and being on the same page is amazing. So well done to you guys. 5 stars for you. So just for the people listening to us in the podcast, Sumner and Ellie are together next to the same microphone. I don't know why it was important for me to say that, because they can't see us. They don't know what the setup looks like. So you guys are together in the same room, which is really awesome. So
it's funny. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you were introducing us, I realized that I don't think we've ever been like on a video together. It's usually like he records a YouTube video, or maybe I'll record it, or he does that. I do this. Like, I don't think we've ever been together.
Yeah, and I know usually in normal circumstances, your setup might be a little bit better, but it's late here in Turkey, and obviously Yeah. So for those of you watching or maybe even listening,
we live
usually
in
your quality's-
Airbnbs.
We live in Airbnbs.
We
Yeah.
can't really choose our setting so much.
No, your setting looks absolutely fine. You guys are doing great. One of my questions that, because I relate to you guys because we're also a husband and wife team was, and the reason I ask it is because I think that like role clarity is really important. So how do you guys how did you come to a place where you can run multiple businesses together as a couple because it's so difficult, right? And I'm sure it wasn't always perfect unless, you're not human, but how did you come to
anymore either?
Yeah. So how do you guys go about when it comes to like role clarity and who does what, and etc. Because it can be even difficult to even decide who does what, So how did you guys come to that?
Breaking up a little bit.
Can you guys hear me? Allie, Sumner, can you guys hear me?
Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
It's ours.
Can you guys hear me, Allie and Sumner?
Yes. We
Starting
can hear.
to, yes.
We can hear a little bit now. Okay, yes, look, she's back.
Okay.
Hi. Sorry, was it me? Did I go missing for a second? Oh, no, and now I'm alone. Okay, so I guess that they're going to come back. Looks like we're having a technical issue. So hello, everyone. I'm sure that they'll be back in 1 second. And for now, I can talk to you guys about my role clarity until they come back. Because for me, it was very difficult to deal with having a husband and wife team. And we really needed to work on understanding. Hi, David. I'll just bring you up so everyone can see. There you go. I was just about to start talking about my role clarity. I lost you guys for a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah, we're back.
No problem. It's all good. I was just about to talk about my role clarity and how difficult, it was for us to sort of decide on who does what, right? Like I do this, you do this, and we do this together, and then we don't do, we don't separate anything. So you guys, I was just in the middle of asking that. So if you guys could talk a little bit about how you decided on the role clarity and who does what.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can I think.
Yeah, you can start.
Because that's, I love, kind of processes and kind of analytics and all that. But first we kind of assessed, what are all of the tasks like down to minute detail that need to be completed kind of on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. And then associating, okay, out of these tasks, about how much time is period. And then, all right, what is kind of our aptitude? Like what are our skill sets, and trying our best with kind of the time, dividing it out evenly based on time, as well as dividing out based on kind of, I guess, ability or skill set. And that's initially how we kind of, and then when new tasks come, then we kind of do the same thing. We reassess and then realign, and maybe if something isn't delivering the ROI that we kind of anticipated, we would, obviously reduce that and, reassess at that time.
Yeah, but it wasn't always like that. Like it started us trying to both do everything. We're just both deciding together almost every detail. What about this logo? Oh, the supplier said that. What should I tell them? And we saw how inefficient that was. So that's when we're like, okay, we need to sit down and we need to divide certain things. So that's how it got started. And now it's so much better. And it completely changed not only our success of our business, but our marriage too, when each person has its own department.
How many times have you guys been asked, how are you not divorced yet? Because I've been asked it a million times. Like people say all the time, how are you guys still together? Because it's not easy running a business together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was definitely more in the beginning. We were asked that a lot. And now, of course, friends and family just know about it. And they're like, okay, it is what it is. They have their business. But in the beginning, I will say definitely it was tougher for our marriage.
Yes.
100%. It was. There's a lot of figuring out that needed to be done, and because we were both, very new to it and new to working with each other and all of that. So more in the beginning, but now it's of course definitely not perfect, but overall now has definitely, I believe, strengthened our marriage and our relationship with each other than not. Like if we're in business, I've seen Allie like grow in so many areas and succeed in kind of her skill sets. And I think she's seen the same as well as me and kind of, the sacrifice with the business. So I think it's ultimately been good.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about like decision making, right? Because there's endless amount of decisions to make when you're building a physical product brand or when you're selling on Amazon in general. Decisions for what supplier to go with, decisions for what product to go through, on how you're going to spend money on PPC, what kind of packaging are you going to have? Like, for example, I can tell you that my husband and I did not rebrand one of our products because we could not agree on the type of packaging that the product is going to have, where he thought it needed to have, this kind of color scheme, and I thought it needed to have this. So we just decided not to do it. So decision-making can be really difficult in my experience when it comes to being a husband and wife team. So do you guys sort of have systems in place for that specifically, and how does that work? Difficult question, I know.
Yeah, definitely, especially now at this point, we have built, and that's more of an issue on my part. This is why I know I'm leading that kind of answer, but what we have our own tasks, and we'll sit down, maybe, we have different meetings for different time periods, monthly, quarterly, as well as annually. And generally the decision, like whatever our tasks are, that's who makes the final decision on that task. Cause that, you are the expert for, sourcing, and all of that, and part of the graphic design. And for me, kind of new product development or new kind of income streams and things like that. However, if one of us feels very strongly, like we often, we'll bounce ideas back off each other because it's always great to have another opinion. I'll say, hey, Ali, how does this look? Or what do you think about this? Just kind of quickly off the top of your head. Get input.
Sorry, I just dropped my thing. Yeah, keep going.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Mm-hmm.
But
keep going, sorry.
We try to keep it separate. And there are certain times where, usually my fault, I'm very, very opinionated. So I'm like, no, I just believe that this is better. Even something so stupid like a YouTube thumbnail. We were arguing about the font of a YouTube thumbnail. So it's more minor things. And I will say this, what you argue about, there are certain things that are significantly more important that, kind of going back and forth on would be, worse, but something stupid like the font, those little things is what we more have disagreements about. But big picture things,
not anymore.
If we disagree, we agree to disagree. But
yeah, so like he said, like in the beginning, we tried to both be involved in everything, and we had arguments, probably like you and your husband. No, I think it should be this way. No, I think it should be this way. But because we're on how many products we have? Like we have maybe 7 products with several variations. So by now we already have our, we trust each other in making decisions. But in terms of systems that you asked, first, like he said, we split our departments. If it's a PPC budget, I don't even get involved. He might ask me my opinion, but it's completely him. And for me, I'm usually the graphic design. If there's a new design on our product, I create it. And I usually create a few options, and then we vote on the options. Like we try to get, even, let's say I have one favorite, he has the other favorite. Maybe we try to combine those two. But we are very heavily data-based. So a lot of times we're like, oh, I like this, I like this. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Let's let the data decide. So Sumner likes to A/B test things a lot, or let's look at reviews. Like, what are people saying on the reviews? Do they want this color, or do they want something more modern or less modern? And we go with what we think the audience will want. But I think by this point, we know, as he said, each other's strengths. Like I trust his instinct a lot. In a lot of, like, with product research, in the beginning, we both did it, but now he pretty much does everything. Like, he has really good instincts. He, not just instincts, but he's really good at data analysis. So I just give my opinion, but usually if it's his department, we go with that. Or if it's my department, like suppliers, he rarely gets involved unless there's an issue or unless, there's something out of the ordinary now. But yes, this is our issue. And we email each other a lot. For a long time, we did not. And he said, because also like we have different schedules.
We email more than not really, but
no, but we have different schedules because, for example, I'm responsible for the suppliers. A lot of times I need to be awake I need to be working later in the day. And he, like with PPC, he needs to optimize that first thing in the morning. So we have different schedules, and we realized later on that it was better for our business and our marriage that we don't just say something like, interrupt each other all the time based on what it's going on with your side of the work.
Me.
Yeah, he needs to be completely focused. So, but also we a lot of times forget. Oh, I told you that. Well, I don't remember. So we email each other a lot. And like he said, we do meetings too. Like we go from general to specific in terms of goals, and we have regular meetings.
I think that's one word that you used, which I think is really, really important, because like my husband and I, we needed at some stage like to go to marriage counseling to understand how to run a business together, because it's not, it's not easy. And one of the things that we were told was role clarity. And it was, you do what you're good at. He does what he's good at. You do what you both are good at together, and you don't cross like that boundary. Like you each have that role, and you don't try and even get involved in the other person's role. And I think to get to the level of trust, now there's a difference between trusting like on a relationship side and trusting with a decision when it comes to business.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how capable your partner is, especially I think, and I really wanted to know this about you guys as well, because my husband and I, we're like fire and fire. We're basically the same person. And he's like the male version of me, and I'm the female version of him. And that can be very difficult because we also have very strong personalities, right? And then you guys look like you're both, like you look way more easygoing than me, for example. So I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it just looks that way. Maybe you guys are just really good actors. No, I'm kidding. But it looks that way, that you guys, that's the kind of impression that you guys give me. And to get to that level of trusting the other person to make the right decision on a business level is not easy. And it's also, and it takes time to get there. So I love that Ellie, you also said that, because getting to that level of trust, again, different trust, right? There's relationship trust, and then there's business trust, and making a specific decision. And sometimes it's really difficult to do. And I would have to bite my tongue because I so disagree with something, but it's his. It's not on it's past that boundary. I can't pass that boundary. It's his, and I can't. So I think that it's a really important word that you used, which is trust.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's tough too when something goes wrong, like taking responsibility. Like, for example, I manage inventory. And we ran out of stock a lot of times.
Well, especially recently. Yeah. Yes. Which we all know.
Yeah. We have run out of stock a few times, and we have over ordered a couple of times too. And that's on me. So like to have the humility of saying I messed up, and also to not let this affect our marriage. Like this is a business thing, like, how do we turn that off? Like he's upset at me because I messed up, and now, let's just relax and watch a movie. Like
for me, I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, no, I'm upset at the business alley, but not like the marriage alley. No, it's I mean, of course. Also, I try not to,
it's the same. I gave that example, but it goes the other way too.
Definitely, many weaknesses. One of my bigger weaknesses, at least in this regard, would definitely be being too controlling, thinking that I know better in every, and that's one thing you mentioned about you and your husband. That's where I think it's a little bit different with us. And I am very thankful to Allie that she is like this. I'm definitely more of the fire, more I'm so stubborn. I think this is best. No, that's going to be terrible. It's not going to get any views, all that kind of thing. And I was like, all right, if you're so, all right, then do it. Let's just do it then. Okay. That, and I know I'm trying to control it and not do that as much, but definitely a couple different weaknesses. And what's interesting is the business has brought out characteristics of us.
Yes. That
we didn't realize. And then we had to kind of we had to fix it. We're like, if we don't fix this, it's not going to be good. It's just going to continually be bad. It's not just going to go away, which ultimately was good. But at the time, it's kind of like, yeah.
And also, I mean, this is such a cliche, especially in the entrepreneurship world. But the whole thing about like failure is good, ultimately, as long as you grow from it. And that's something about Sumner's personality, actually, not just in business. He always, like, if I say like, oh, if we have a fight, even if it has nothing to do with business, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, what are we going to do differently? I'm sorry, it's not enough. Like, we need to learn from this and do differently. And that's why today we can make this work. And I mean, if someone listening is in a relationship and you're not there yet, just try to work through what's not working. Like, just try to, get the, like the resolution of it. How can we make it work? It's not just like it doesn't work. It's a process, and it can get even better. It will get better if you're both willing to make it better.
I agree 100%. And, I remember that someone once said to me that when you're working and like when your partner is your significant other, there are 3 phases that you go through. I can't remember who it was that said it to me. And they said the first phase is like the honeymoon, where everything looks perfect. The second phase is hell, where it looks like when you have to learn one another, and you have to learn how to complete one another, and you have to accept like who's going to make this decision, who's going to make that decision. And many people don't get past stage 2, and they either give up on the business because it's so hard to get past it, or they divorce, or they stick through it and they're able to get to stage 3, which I feel is where I am at today. And so you guys are at today, and God willing, we'll stay this way as well. But, it's because it gets pretty, in my experience anyway, I don't really know anyone that hasn't gone through this. It sometimes gets bad before it gets really good. Definitely. Because like you just said, it's so relatable, how you just said that when things go wrong, how do you then switch it off? Not even that, especially when, like, for us, you guys are traveling the world, and we'll get to that before we end here. But for us in 2020, like, we were stuck in this house more or less for almost a year because of all the lockdowns. So then you have a husband and wife team running, multiple businesses, and you have a 3.5-year-old and a husband and wife stuck in the same house. It's definitely not easy, right? And I think that getting to like stage 3 of being able to be where we're at today it's not easy. And anyone listening to us, like you just said, you have to be able to make that switch. And it's so hard. I'm being a hypocrite right now, because I used to always say, when I leave that door behind me, for the people behind on the podcast, there's a door in my office. I leave everything that like went wrong today here. And it's so hard sometimes, right? It's difficult. 100%. It's hard. And it's also hard when the other person makes, like you said, stuffs up. It's hard to let it go and to make that switch. And just like, well done to you guys. That's like the best thing I have to say. Like, well done. We have a question here from David asking if you guys do morning huddles.
What's huddle?
Huddle. So sorry. So also for those listening in, English is sort of my first language. Gibberish is probably my first. English is Allie's 3rd language. So Portuguese, Spanish, then English. So just so kind of words like that.
Is it a routine?
Meeting. So we have morning devotionals. So we're Christian. We read that we wake up, we read the Bible. That's the first thing that we do in the morning, or try to. Sometimes it's not the very first thing. We'll get some coffee or something like that. That's always kind of the first thing. Usually though, we already know we have, and I'm trying to think of, and we're still nailing down the exact kind of timing, because the timing it's a little bit more organic. Like the timing kind of varies. Like, daily, weekly, monthly, it's not really set up exactly like that, because depending on the projects that we have. But generally what we do is just an overall kind of goal setting, and then ultimately answering the question is we identify, okay, what is overall our number one goal for both of us, kind of whether it's in multiple areas, relationship wise, with ourselves, with others, financially, and all of that, and kind of brainstorm. And it's like the whole day just kind of going back and forth and thinking about this and praying about it and talking about it, big picture for the year. And we're like, okay, what needs to be done in order to achieve this, like realistically? Okay, so these are all the projects that are needed. Okay, realistically, how much time is needed per project? And then who's going to do what? And then when we kind of separate out, then we break that down basically from really big down to like quarterly, then monthly, and then daily. So we already kind of know what we're like. We don't come up with new things. There's things once in a while that obviously, all the time things pop up. But the overall, the big things that need to be executed on, we both know. So like kind of when we pray, we're together, and then when we separate, you already know what you're working on. I know what I'm working on. We might kind of go back and forth throughout the day. Hey, did you get this? Hey, just want to remind you of this. Or hey, for example, today, our Google Ads account, for whatever reason, got deactivated, and we're running Google Ads, and we're like, what? Why? We think it's an error. So stuff like that happens. But usually,
once we get that main meeting out of the way, okay, we have this project. For example, this year we want to expand to new marketplaces. I'm going to be responsible for it. I'm applying to Walmart. So once we have that meeting, it's off Sumner's list. Like every once in a while I'll update him, but it goes to my thing, and I figure out how I want to work with that within my schedule. So we usually don't have daily meetings. We have these like big picture meetings,
yes.
And every once in a while, like emailing or things like that. But it's funny that you said, like, because we do our devotions together. And even though we do separate the departments, I think it is important to, as a husband and wife team, to have that time together for other things. So we do our devotionals together every single morning, every single night, and we do not work on Sundays. So that was something that it was so good for our marriage and for the business, because I think if everyone listening is an entrepreneur, we know that it never ends. There are like endless lists, even if it's on the back burner. And not working on Sundays was a great way to recharge, to just have time for our family and not talk about business. We do not check emails. We just do fun things or relaxing things. And that was good for our marriage and for our business. So having that break that we have to do it.
Yeah, and that's one
really
other quick thing. I know probably talking too much, but one other thing that I'll add that literally, it's something simple for entrepreneurs, but for me, it was like literally life-changing. It's something that I noticed, obviously, there's unlimited opportunity with entrepreneurship. There's always like something more that you can do, more income that can be made, or like worrying about stupid things like, oh my gosh, how does my YouTube banner look? Does it look too like outdated? Do I need to update? All these stupid little things. And I was, if I'm kind of working at a particular day and it's late, I'm ready to kind of take my break. And I'm like, oh, I have energy. I'll keep working. I keep working and I'm fine that night. I wake up the next day. My energy's fine. Do the same thing again. And then the next day and the next day. And I realized I wake up one day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even think. Like literally like basic algebra. I'm like, what? X? Which side do I multiply? Like really basic things. And then I realized I'm like, oh my gosh, I keep getting burnt out like on a weekly basis. So what I've found, like literally life-changing, it's so simple, but forcing ourselves as entrepreneurs to take breaks. And then also in relation to couples, if we don't take breaks at the exact same time, respecting each other's breaks.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm like, all right, Allie, like here's like, if I propose, for example, a schedule and you're like, hey, Sumner, taking, the last kind of 3 hours at night of just turning everything off, just kind of relaxing. That's great for you, but I can't, because I have to contact suppliers. They're in Chinese time. So like, I have to stay up during that time. Then I need to know, okay, I'm in the break. She's not. I need to respect that. And that was something difficult. So even if, and the same thing with the business is, even if ideally, it'd be great to be on the same schedule, same goals and motivations and all of that. And overall, we are, at least in the big picture, we're 100%, I think, on board. But with some of those smaller, like routine things, if you're not in the same, then at least agree on this is yours, this is mine, and respect it.
For us, it might be a little bit more complicated because we're with each other all the time. We're traveling together. Like there's no pretty much all the time. But if before COVID, one of us maybe would go to a co-working space or a coffee shop or something like that, because that would make a lot better for us to have our own, this is what I'm working on. He's not distracting me. I'm not distracting him. And I can have my own break. He can have his own break. But so we would take turns, like who goes to the co-working space. But now, so that's why this is a bigger deal for us now. It's just because there's just so many businesses, and with the travel channel too. Or
we get a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment, and we're like,
hotel.
Oh wow, this is a little bit kind of.
Yes,
I think that I'm just falling in love with you guys right now, because it sounds so, it's not easy. It's not easy to get to the place that you're at. And like I said, I think the next challenge, not to be like, a person that's negative or anything. I'm just saying from my experience, the next challenge is then also bringing kids in. And I once said to you guys, because I follow you guys and you guys are traveling, and I said to Sumner once, do everything you can before you have kids. Like keep on like traveling as much as you can, because then when a kid's involved, it gets so much harder, because then you've got your relationship, your business, and then now, because first of all, finding even the ability to work together, you may not even speak the same language, if you get what I mean, when it comes to business, right? Because you may do business this way and she may do business. And by the way, you guys look like you completely complete each other on a business level, like 100%, because I was thinking about it and I was like, I'm very much like Sumner, and then Ali's very much like my husband on a business level, because also something that Sumner and I need to work on is we both talk a lot. And I was thinking about this. There was one.
I feel like I'm talking so much.
No,
No, Sumner, you guys have a Pinterest course on Udemy, and I would tag you guys all the time. And then I once tagged and I said, or I sort of like name drop your Udemy Pinterest course all the time. And I'd be like, Sumner's the only person that talks more than me, because I talk so much, like everywhere I go. Anyway, and then it's just funny, because I feel like Sumner and I, you said that you didn't use the word control freak, but you like to be in control and things like that. And I'm the same, and it's really hard to let go of that as well. That's where we come back to the whole trust thing. But you guys talked about sometimes you go into an Airbnb and you're in the same, like it's 1 bedroom. And that was one of my questions, because for us, I realized it's extremely important that we don't work in the same room together. And I only understood that during COVID, because my husband was then forced for a while to come into the office with me, and he was in here with me, and it was fun for like 2 weeks. And then I just felt like banging his head against the wall every day, like not literally, but it got really difficult. So do you guys, first of all, do you work in the same room together? Because it's actually not that easy. And second of all, what do you guys do when you get to a situation when you're on Airbnb and it's smaller? Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, so so number one, definitely, and again, me.
I want him to answer. He's better.
Yeah, me talking, someone talks, and then me doing it, talking so much, and I know I do, and it's like
no, but I will say that I love it. Like if you watch any of our travel vlogs, he usually does it.
I love you guys.
I love it. I like not having that responsibility.
He's also very intelligent, so
yes, he's so good at summarize, like saying what's necessary. I go on and on and on. I'm like, wait, what was my point again?
Definitely not. I know. And those of you who are tuning in, that are part of my audience that have kind of followed me, they all know this. I get comments all the time. It's like, Sumner, like just get to the freaking point, man. I go and I repeat myself and I go into the details because I want to make sure that people get it.
Yeah.
But to try to be more concise and maybe let Ali talk a little bit. So one, we try to avoid working the same room as much as possible. That's more me. I'm kind of a jerk when it comes, like little things annoy me. Like start, hearing the keyboard clacking and like, a song playing without the headphones and just little things like that.
Chewing.
Yeah. Just stupid little things like that get to me when and it's something I am still working on. I think maybe improving a little bit. This might turn into a therapy session. But we try to work in separate rooms as much as possible. And we'll meet up in the morning, at night, and we see each other throughout the day. You come out, get some coffee or get a snack or, whatever. But yeah, definitely keep it separate when possible. And then for those few times we were kind of forced into the same situation. We try to like suck it up and also just position ourselves at like, I'll be facing a corner. You'll probably be facing like another corner, headphones. Yeah, but we keep it to a minimum.
We avoid, I can't even remember the last time. Like we look for Airbnbs that are at least 1 bedroom. So one can be in the bedroom, the other can be in the living room. But if we're like in a hotel or something, we usually don't work. We say, okay, we're going to be in this hotel for 2 days.
Yes.
Then let's plan to not work. We'll rarely do it. Like we try to, sometimes it doesn't work, depends on what's going on in each other's agenda. But we try to avoid this at all costs.
How long has it been now since you guys started Amazon specifically? 2 years?
We launched our first product June of 2018. We started
2018.
Yeah, we found out about Amazon March of 2018. Then we went like crazy and launched the product. And it was funny because at the time he had his own business. I was still in my part-time job, and we started making a lot, like more money than I was making as a part-time, as in my part-time job. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should quit. Because, like if we put more time or another product, then, we did that stupid math of 3 + 1, and now it really accounted for
we were a little bit probably too aggressive, I think.
Yes. We probably should have waited at least a whole year to see all of the seasons of our product.
Yeah, because our first product, which we didn't really realize, and obviously so new to it, looking back now, it's like unbelievable what we didn't know. But it went really well. Like for that one product and what it was able to kind of generate for us, we're like, oh my gosh, like, it doesn't make sense for you to keep working. And it wasn't even like probably, I don't even know how many months before you're like, okay, let's just quit. And our second product, I'm trying to think about this, was not so great.
No.
I remember that was kind of, we were overconfident and
in our first product, when we were excited about the numbers, we found out later on that was the highest season.
Yes.
We didn't think about it. I don't know. We didn't take that into account. So thankfully, Sumner still had his clients, but we're like, uh-oh. Like,
it got definitely at the beginning. It was great. And then got financially tight. And that starting the new business plus a little bit of that financial stress was not good. That was.
And understanding cash flow too, because I'm the finance person, and we quickly figured out that profit does not equal cash flow. And it took a couple of,
especially with Amazon, with holding payments and paying every 2 weeks and all that.
And like we had not meetings, but like arguments that we were both crying. Like,
just to like also, I mean, I know if you guys go on our Instagram account or even YouTube, maybe we'll try to post more photos of like us crying, but it looks really nice. and now, I mean, we're definitely, I think we even talked about this year. It just felt very liberating.
Blessed.
We're extremely blessed. God's been very good to us. But there was definitely a period right at the beginning that it was their divorce was never an option. Again, that's part of our belief system. It will never happen. We will always hopefully figure out. And, I know a lot of things can happen in the future. But that's kind of our mindset. So we're going to, no matter what, try to figure it out. But definitely rocky kind of beginning from a few different reasons. But now it's better.
Yeah, but we started in 2018 to go back to the question, and we both went full time. Like he quit all of his clients beginning of 2019. So it's been 2 full years. Yeah.
I can just say what you just spoke about is what I learned to be stage 2, which is where it becomes hell. Because at the beginning, it's just like I said, the honeymoon and then hell, and then it becomes a lot easier if you're able to get past the hell stage.
Yes.
Because you're learning the business, and there's so much to learn when it comes to Amazon. And then you've got to learn Amazon, and then you've got to learn how to work with each other, and then it's tough. So and so bringing out new products, you said you had, I think like within a couple of months, you already had like 2 new products. How long was it until you guys started to sort of get into a wheel where, you're just able to get more products and more products in? And then how did you guys because I'm asking this question from experience, that when we started our new brand, we were already at stage 3 where everything was fine. And then hell started again, because starting a new brand can also be like starting all over again. And then again, who's the buyer avatar? No, this is the buyer avatar. No, this is, and then it can get difficult. So how is it when you guys were bringing out, I mean, I understand you have systems in place today, but I'm sure it took you a while to get there. And also I'd love to hear what your systems are, as in like, who does what, just out of interest, because I think it's kind of similar to us as well. But how was it rolling out a new product and then another new product and then another new product? Like, how did you handle that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's again, the timeline a little bit better.
I'm trying to remember when we went, because we had an awful day that we woke up. It was the day after his birthday. So October 11th is his birthday. So on October 12th, we were still doing that whole giveaway method, and that was with our second product that we woke up and we had done the giveaway through Facebook, and it went viral, and we lost almost all of our inventory
overnight.
Overnight.
So that was the problem
with that 90%
again,
off.
kind of going back to like how we got started on Amazon. We took this course, which now again we're not going to mention or badmouth or anything like that. But just was not. We thought it covers everything. Oh, the guy's super successful. Not so much. And there's obviously a lot of learning. That was one of the learnings. We had this, to increase rank on Amazon. Used to be a lot more common. Now I know it's like rebates and other things like that. But we gave, I forget, it's like 90% off or 80% off or something like that. Ridiculous, like huge discount, basically giving away our products. Ran like this Facebook ad and didn't set a limit on kind of the on the giveaways. So we woke up and all of our inventory, almost all of our inventory is like gone and lost our money, and like big learning opportunity.
That's my grandma.
In the chat.
Yes, in the chat. Sorry, in the comment. Yeah, for those listening, my grandma's commenting.
Ellie's grandma's here. That's that sounds like a really tough thing to go through.
Yes,
and it's just in my experience, that's when I am thankful that we're a husband and wife team, because then you're able to support one another and and go through that kind of, because I can say that the last time I went through something difficult was when we had a lot of our SKUs taken down on Prime Day. I don't know if you saw, I was probably public about it. We had 4 SKUs taken down, and for 3.5 weeks, our account was the specific account was under attack, and there were lots and lots of drug-related keywords put into our product's name. And I was a bitch for about 3.5 weeks. Like I was the devil for about 3.5 weeks. And I'm just so thankful that my husband is my partner, because he knows how to handle that. If I had a partner that was not my husband, it could have been really bad, because I was just like the worst person to be around during that time, because it's so difficult. And I think that's where people like us are actually lucky to have our partner, and as our husband, wife, whatever it may be, and then our business partner as well. Yeah, so
true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but going back to just to answer the question, launching more products after that was our second product that happened. And then, but we're like we said, we're like, okay, we know what we did wrong. We know what went wrong. And we were like, okay, I think it was because also my family was like, we asked if they wanted to partner with us to finance a new product. And because we started figuring out what went wrong with the first one and with the second, and I think it's similar to what you said. Maybe after that second one, most people would just quit completely. But us, we were like, okay, now we actually know how to do it. So we got my parents to finance the third product. Yeah. And that was really successful. Our third product is our bestseller to this day. And so that gave us the confidence to keep going and keep going.
Oh, yeah. And that's actually something else to add that I would definitely add. Your parents both have been, I mean, obviously it helps us out a little bit financially, and it's not like, funding the whole business, not even close, but it's very helpful, but also helpful just overall,
emotionally.
yeah, emotionally very on board. With my parents are much like just different. Obviously love you, mom and dad, but very different kind of parenting systems for sure. Much more like, yeah, told you it was a scam. Nope, you should get out of it. Where your mom especially was very kind of encouraging.
Maybe it's cultural too.
Yes.
Because like you want to be more realistic. They're a lot more realistic. His parents, my parents are not very realistic.
And quickly on that, when we talk about kind of what we do, which is still difficult to talk, it's like, oh, we have some online businesses. And when people think online, like, oh, we have multiple businesses. Oh my gosh, you guys are multimillionaires. I'm like, nope, nope.
Yeah.
It's very different. Reality of entrepreneurship is very different. Great, it's rewarding, but very different from what a lot of people think. When we tell our friends what we do, especially in the beginning in the United States, they're like, ooh, you guys are probably getting scammed. Where when you told your friends and family in Brazil, they're much more interested. They're like, really interesting. Tell me more about it. Huh, that's really cool. Maybe I could do it. Right. So the cultural is also different. But
Yes.
yeah, I know we went on a tangent. I forget where we were.
I think the cultural thing is definitely a factor because, I grew up in New Zealand, but living in Israel, and my parents are Israeli. I think that it's sort of different, similar to Ali's sort of family, etc., where my family has always been really supportive of it too. So I just wanted to see what we have here. Someone said, I could not imagine doing this with anyone else but my immediate family. That was Tangi. Her husband is Joe, and they're also a husband and wife team. What would be to sort of come to wrap this up and then talk about a few other things that you guys are doing, what would be some advice that you would give to anyone who's thinking about coming into this as a husband and wife team? What would be some advice that you guys, let's think of 3 points that you would give to a husband and wife team getting into Amazon specifically? What are some tips?
You want to go first for me?
No, you go.
I know usually that's why because I know what you for me, a couple things, at least maybe number one thing that I can think of off the top of my head is have to have a deep conversation about goals.
Yes.
And it's not just like, oh, we want to make this much a month or a year. Why? To do this. Why do we want to do those things? And that was one of the conversations we had is like, we realized how different internally our goals were. Where, for example, we want to make, X revenue number a month or profit number. The reason why was very different. So kind of having initially, number one is having a conversation with each other and being very, very open, clear about goals. Don't hold anything back. Otherwise, it'll come up at some point. So just be honest right up front. And either number one, which is great for our case, I think is the best case scenario, is we are very much aligned. Obviously, there's going to be some disagreements here or there, but very, very much on the same page and have the same goal. But if not, and we have a very good friend back home who has kind of told us situation where he is 100%. I mean, he's very entrepreneurial minded. He's got real estate. He's got Amazon products. He's got great guy, great personality. And obviously won't say who it is, but just kind of told us how there's a little bit of a conflict of kind of goals, very different.
Yeah, the girlfriend's not interested at all.
So in the case though that your partner might not be on board, at least just from what I can see, obviously I'm young and I still have plenty to learn in a lot of different fields. But one of those things is kind of agree to disagree. It's like, okay, this is your thing. So when you're kind of your business, might do this or that. Don't get upset when your partner doesn't step in and help you and do all this because they said from the beginning they weren't interested. So just kind of, again, I don't know what that's like. I just couldn't envision, not coming to some kind of agreement and being very clear about it.
Yeah, but I think in terms of goal, that goes way beyond the business itself. I mean, our Amazon FBA is not our lives. Like a lot of people have, even though we have a brand around it,
it's a big part of it played a big part of our life. But
our goal from the beginning was to do Amazon FBA for our lives. So we could do this, and this for our lives. So when we have that goal in mind, even if you're not doing Amazon FBA together, or if you're not doing the same business together, and both should be working toward that goal, even if it's through completely different things. Okay, we want to, we want to have financial freedom. We want to be able to retire younger than expected at 50, for example. But I don't want to do Amazon FBA, and you do, then you do it. I'm going to work toward our goal another way. So the goal thing is really important for us and for all of our businesses. And I guess maybe another advice, it would be definitely have separate departments. But I mean, even though you do have separate departments, it is good that the other one understands a little bit too of it, so they can appreciate what you do and you can appreciate what they do. So, because otherwise, like, you know, I remember we had this conversation a few times, like, I feel like I'm doing so much and you're doing so much, you know, but if we switch roles, like, we would appreciate more of the other. And it's good to understand too of the whole, all of it, have a bit of an understanding, also to give an input, because a lot of times when you're really into it, you cannot see certain things that someone from the outside can. And that's when it's good to have an input. But in terms of having a marriage and a business together, separate the business departments as much as possible.
I think that just as you were talking, it made me think about some things, and I was thinking, just a question that popped to my head was, there was some stage of our relationship that the only especially, I have to say that it was especially during COVID. That's as far back as my brain will go right now. Anyway, like in 2020, not that we're not during COVID, because we're actually in lockdown right now, but I mean, in 2020, our conversations became only business and my son. Like, we had nothing else to speak about at some point, because we weren't obviously allowed to leave to you know, more than a kilometer from our house, etc. But at some point, I felt that it was like our businesses had suddenly become more our lives than our actual, like, marriage. And I think that's a really important thing that you just said, because family first and the marriage comes first before the business. And something that I've said this publicly in the past, on this show, actually, when Danny did an in-depth with me, and it was, my marriage counselor said to me once, you're going to be really rich but divorced if you continue going this way. And I'll never forget when she said that to me, because that's when I was like, holy crap, I need to make a change. Like, something here needs to change, because money, business, success means nothing to me if it's without, you know, my husband on my side.
Definitely.
And I think that I don't know why it just came to my head while you were saying that, because you said, you know, Amazon FBA is not our life. It's a big part of your life, but the first thing that comes, you know, at this stage of your lives, especially before you have children, is one another, right? Your marriage. And
the
it just made me
off really helped with that perspective too. You have to force it. Otherwise it will become your whole life.
Like, it's literally changed my life. And I know everyone's a little bit different. Some people may lean a little bit toward, you know, laziness, to where, oh, if it's going well right now, I'm good, I'll just kind of take a break. Where I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs, and definitely me, it's like, there's always something new, always a way to improve, always more money that could be made, you know, an extra client, an extra product or whatever. And forcing yourself to have that kind of schedule, of course, with each other, if it's the same schedule, or agreeing, okay, this is going to be the schedule, or at least for the time that we're launching these new products and you have to stay up late, and this is what the schedule is going to be. But within your schedule, regardless, having set breaks and even kind of like timing it to where it's, you know, you're disciplined, but disciplined with your breaks, not just with your business.
So we're coming up to an end. David said here, we started a business with my wife's family in Japan and it did not go well, but now just the two of us is much easier and fluid.
Yes. It's tough to involve friends and family.
Definitely depends on the family. Definitely depends on the friends, for sure.
Yes.
David, I know David and his wife. David's wife is Yukiko, and they're an amazing husband and wife team as well. Before we wrap it up, you guys are, in my opinion, living a dream, and you guys are basically digital nomads, which we didn't really talk about. Let's just talk a little bit more about that just before we wrap it up. You guys are actually traveling the world right now, which I think is amazing. And and like I said to you guys ages ago, do it as long as you can, because once you have a kid, it's you have to start thinking about other things. But how did you guys get to a place within 2 years where you are able to do that? And how is it working from all over the world, right? Working on your businesses together.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can.
You answer that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, because that's kind of
book too.
So I read 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. very eye-opening, life-changing, one of my favorite books of all time, aside from the Bible, of course. But it was very eye-opening to where basically one of the many kind of points that were made in the book that was super critical is if you earn in a relatively strong currency like US dollar, euro, pound, or whatever, earning that currency, why wouldn't you live in another country? Safe, beautiful, less expensive country. And you could actually, so our costs, even with, and we're doing some extra things as we travel abroad, it's not that difficult when you're generating income online to save money, especially for Americans and Europeans and others as well, to live abroad and actually save money and potentially also increase the quality of your life. We were literally it was winter in Cincinnati, Ohio, in our 2-bedroom apartment. And we just thought, because your family's in Brazil and it was so difficult. And this is like right before COVID hit is when we started this. It's really difficult to see your family. We would love to see them more often. Why don't we give Brazil, why don't we live in Brazil for a little bit? Why not? And we were like, okay, let's take this a little bit further. How much would Airbnb cost be? How is that comparable when we include utilities? How much are your utilities? Is there stable Wi-Fi? All these kind of things. Did a research and realized we could save money by living 5 minutes from the beach in a beautiful area with lower, grocery costs and all of that. And we're like, why aren't we doing that? We're young. We don't have a kid. What are we doing? Let's go travel the world. So that was kind of the initial was kind of reading the 4-Hour Work Week and
by Tim Ferriss. Someone asked the book.
Yeah. And then
David,
actually doing an actual analysis where most people, we even tell other people, and they're like, and I'm like, you can look at the world, peace index. You can look at cost of living calculators. All the data is out there and just do a numbers calculation. Again, if you don't want to travel the world, of course, then you won't.
And I was saying,
it's more possible than ever. And also now with COVID, there's a bunch of our friends who are like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. You guys are living the world. And now they all work online anyway, even if it's, a more kind of traditional 9 to 5. It's never been, I would just encourage people to consider living abroad, even for a period. It can, like I said, you can improve the quality of your life while saving money and having more money to reinvest back in your business while being 5 minutes from the beach and getting all this vitamin D. So that's just a thought.
Yeah, no, but what I would say is that it sounds like something so unattainable. It sounds like a fairy tale. Maybe it's used to more before COVID because now everyone doesn't go to work anymore. But a lot of people don't go to the office. But it really is a matter of try to make it realistic, write it down. And that was something I remember we read it on Money Master the Game by
Tony Robbins.
He, in his seminar, he was like, how much money do you want? And people would say $1 billion. And he would say do you know what? And he's like, let's break it down. Which kind of house would you want? And then they would literally do the math of the most expensive things that they would realistically want for their lives. And it wasn't even close to $1 billion. You don't need $1 billion. So it was kind of similar with us to where, it would be great if we could travel the world. Okay, what if we did? So we started putting the numbers out, like Sumner said, and we're like, we should do it. And it was easier to start with the country that we were more used to it, because I speak Portuguese. And by the way, if you ever go to Brazil, go to Florianopolis. That is
especially Americans. Of course, when Americans think of many other countries, it's like, oh my gosh, gangs or corrupt governments or all these things all over the world. But and some of that, of course, is true. But there's a lot of great places in the world as well. And by traveling, we've realized there's a ton of stuff just outside of Amazon and everything, just about countries and people that are, it's unbelievable how wrong it is. It's unbelievable. Like being here in Turkey, totally different perspective. The stereotype, or a lot of stereotypes, I think are very, very false. Same thing with Brazil. So it's been very eye-opening. And of course, if that's not your passion.
Yeah, some people don't want that.
And we know many people, and and that was just something for us. We realized it's something both of us really wanted to do.
Yes.
That's where more of our passion is in videography and travel, specifically travel videography, which that's now one of our side hustles that we're also building, that thankfully Amazon, kind of having our Amazon business, has allowed us to be able to do, which is really wonderful. But it all goes back to goals. And
to answer, someone asked, do you have a permanent residence? We do not. We literally sold everything that we owned.
Yeah, we have 2.5 suitcases. That's our physical belongings.
To be honest, we have 1 suitcase at your parents' house.
Okay, so we have 3
filled with some things that we still kept, but we sold everything else. and we do not have a permanent residence, which it's honestly so freeing not having a car, not having this. But there are pros and cons. And I would say one of the biggest cons, especially because we're digital nomads, we need the Wi-Fi, is reliable Wi-Fi. Like right now, we the whole day like just so nervous. We really hope the Wi-Fi,
and we didn't test it everything, but yeah, it was more where for whatever reason some of the Airbnb listings recently, we've never really had a big problem with that, but that was one specific issue that we had was like the Wi-Fi when working online, and just kind of the Airbnb listings lying about it. We're like specifically asking, hey, what's the download and upload speed? Send us a screenshot, and it's like, wait, why is it completely different, and all that kind of stuff. So of course there's definitely cons. I know, of course, you go on Instagram or YouTube, it's like, oh my gosh, it looks so pretty and looks so everything. Yeah. And there is, I mean, we're blessed to go to some amazing places, but of course, with the kind of constant, having to constantly plan the next step, where we wouldn't have to if we were in more of a permanent residence, stable Wi-Fi, or having, we used to have a nicer kind of like little studio that would look a little bit nicer and better mic and things like that. And had more obviously physical possessions, having a yard. But overall for us and our goals, the pros far outweigh the cons. But of course there's definitely cons to everything.
Or like we don't really have a routine. And it's funny because sometimes we catch ourselves thinking, okay, when we do settle down, and that's one of the things too, we started traveling because we wanted to figure out where we wanted to live. Because we are not really attached to Cincinnati. Like I'm not really attached to my hometown either. So we're like, let's explore. So we've also been traveling with that goal in mind, but we catch ourselves talking about, oh, when we settle down, we'll have this. And it's exciting to live what we're living today. And also like, like the pros and cons, the cons that we have right now will be a pro later, but it also, it's a trade-off, and we're just trying to enjoy all the different life stages.
That's really cool. And one thing, because we're got to wrap it up because we're already at an hour and 10 minutes. But I think that one of the most important things in business, in my opinion, is it's really important not to put all your eggs in one basket, right? When it comes to business. And I'm really I really believe in that, especially, and I feel like I was a lot more willing to take risks before I became a mom. And then when I became a mom, you're responsible to feed someone. So you may not take as many risks as you used to. And what I love about you guys, because, and I just find you guys like are really relatable, because to me at least, because I'm very much like you guys as well, is you have not put all your eggs in one basket. So you had this one business that worked really well for you, which is Amazon FBA. And then you got into other things, which is, your Udemy courses and the YouTube channel. And, now you're working on your travel channel and your freelancing, which I think is like amazing. And the way that it should be, right? I think what do they say, that the millionaires have like 7 streams of income or something like that. And I think it's really, really important. And just like, and well done to you guys. Like I think that you guys are just doing a great job. And just before we wrap it up, is there anything else that you guys want to quickly add? And before we wrap it up, as to the specific subject of husband and wife teams?
I'm trying to think of anything. There's 3 things that are completely off topic. I don't know if it would make sense to share specifically about Amazon product launch that like.
Go ahead.
I'll just name it. Okay, so 3 things. If you're launching it, it's totally off topic, but like these are 3 things I've been noticing, and I've been sharing with some other Amazon sellers that just want to like share with everyone. Launching a new product on Amazon. Obviously, talk about diversification, diversify your launch strategy. 3 underrated, what I find kind of social media channels or overall strategies. Number 1 is TikTok. By far, the easiest place to go viral online is TikTok. With that, just as an example, we had something you can do really simple is like get some videos from your supplier of your manufacturing process, or even if you already have, influencers who have been using your videos in like Instagram stories, things like that, with their permission, download, upload, easy to upload that content to TikTok. And for perspective, we had one of our products, we told our supplier just for fun to run over it with a car and record it, to show the
Of course,
durability.
you ask your supplier to do that for fun. Hey, just for fun, can you run over our product? Yeah.
Yeah. And we uploaded it to TikTok. It has over 2 million views.
Very quickly.
Holy
So that
crap.
took us 5 minutes of work, 10 minutes of work, 2 million views. Unfortunately, at the time, it like peaked and went viral. Our website was still not set up, and we were starting to drive more traffic outside of Amazon to diversify. But just, it's crazy. Just something to kind of put in your back pocket. And again, I see people who are like against TikTok for some reason, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a huge. Just throw up a few videos and then be done with it. So TikTok, number 2, Pinterest. Pinterest, I believe, of all social media platforms, has the second highest average household income of users. I think it's over 50% of users use the platform with purchase intent, compared to like 17% with Facebook. And still, it's kind of hit or miss, but you can still have some content that's well optimized, go viral. Huge kind of platform that's definitely being overlooked. And lastly is Facebook groups. Facebook groups are insane how much they grow. And just kind of 3 things to look into. Product launch,
That was
totally off topic.
really off topic. I didn't think it would be that.
Totally off topic. Something about. I do want to say that
I will say pretty much what I was thinking is what you said about diversifying is always having that perspective. It's not just diversifying, Amazon and eBay. We are constantly diversifying how we bring people to Amazon. Like, diversify the diversified thing.
Diversify paid advertising, our suppliers, products, where our products are being sold, the actual total, stock footage versus physical products versus freelancing, kind of all that. So
Information products. And always, it's difficult with a business, but have that big perspective. Like, for example, where is this going to take me? Is this going to be sustainable? What is my goal? Is it passive income? Am I really being passive with Amazon FBA? How can I make it passive? So every once in a while, even though there's so much on a day-to-day basis, you need to take a step back for that big goal and big life goal too, since you're, as a couple, like where we want it to be. How is the business fitting in that goal right now? Yes, that would be my more on-topic advice.
Tangi just gave you a beautiful comment there, Ali. She said she's pretty sure looks like the Wonder Woman character, which happens to be Israeli and is Gal Gadot. And Gal Gadot is one of like Israel's most beautiful models. So that's great.
I haven't watched that movie.
Very nice. I agree. I agree with Tangi.
And then she added that you are Wonder Woman, which I totally agree. I think you're also a Wonder couple. Now, if anyone wants to reach out to you guys, where is the best place that they can reach out to you on?
Yeah, directly. Feel free. Best place, kind of like one-on-one. We have a Facebook group specifically for Amazon. It's called The Amazing Escape Plan. So you can find us on Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel. And of course, on the side, Hobart's Abroad. We have an Instagram, YouTube. That's our travel site. So Hobart's Abroad travel. You can just Google us, The Amazing Escape Plan. That's all kind of e-commerce, Amazon FBA, Facebook group, and YouTube, and a couple other places.
Yeah, Udemy too. We teach a few courses online.
One of my favorite courses that you guys have, which I've never actually taken, but I've sent heaps of people your way, is your Pinterest course, because I've gotten so much feedback from people, which I think that actually Ali does most of the teaching there. So if anyone needs a affordable Pinterest course on Udemy, check them out as well. And I thank you guys so much for your time today. You guys did really, really great. And thank you to the listeners, and we'll wrap it up now. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was great. So hopefully you guys got some good value out of it.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.